This is the reality of a lot of Nigerians in the diaspora. You were once a very vibrant Christian. You were able to pray, you were able to worship, you were able to study your Bible without distractions. You went to church frequently, but as you went abroad, your faith life dwindled because you were not going to church anymore. When it's time to pray, you get easily distracted. Sometimes you miss. In fact, when you're able to pray and you get distracted, it's a miracle because usually you don't get to pray. You don't study the Bible, you're not part of any church or local assembly. And all of a sudden, you realize that, oh, more, where am I in my Christian walk? I'm so far. I can't remember the last time I spoke to God. God seems far away. And because of that, I decided to do an episode specially for people like you. And so if you're a Christian, you're in the diaspora, your faith is lacking, or you're a Nigerian looking to travel out, and you just genuinely care about how to navigate through your faith walk, then spend the next few minutes with me on the Breath of Hope podcast episode. Hello, my name is Victor Akan, and I'd like to welcome you to my Breath of Hope podcast. Now, in here, you'll find life-nourishing content, you'll find inspirational content, you'll find content that leads to your freedom against addiction, against depression, and you just name it. Now, today, we're going to be helping those who have gone through or who are going through what you call spiritual lukewarmness. People who have had a difficult time praying simply because they have changed their location, and so there's no longer that local assembly that helps to refire and rejuvenate their souls. And the question begs, how do I get back to my fervency for the Lord in the diaspora? So the next couple of minutes is going to be focused on that. And I'm going to first start this way. What are some of the reasons why a Christian or why Christians lose their fervor? Number one, poor theological understanding. So what this means is, what is your idea of who God is, and what is the basis of your relationship with God? The reason why I said this is because we are going to contrast two nations, right? Nations like Nigeria, nations like, America, the West, basically. There is one thing that they have in common on an economic scale, is that one is a third world country, the other is a first world country. And this just simply means that in Nigeria, basic amenities like electricity, like jobs, security, healthcare, all of these things are far from us. So for instance, about 90 million Nigerians are still living below the poverty threshold. Okay? Now, this just simply means that for Christians who have built their theology or their relationship with God on the basis of what He can do for them and not who He is, okay? And how He has chosen to reveal Himself to us in Christ Jesus, but rather on the basis of God's ability to provide. Now, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong in seeing God as a provider. I'm saying that the basis of your relationship with God is the provider. Think about it like you have a relationship with somebody, but you only remember the person when you need help from the person, as opposed to having a genuine relationship out of which can flow other issues of life. And so in that case, your whole prayer point, everything about, your relationship with God is about give me what you can do for me, and all of those things. And so you are in a country where you need God's help. You want God to help you do this. You want God to help you do that. And the only reason why is because your country doesn't work. Your country is below the poverty threshold. And so you apply for a job. God, please help me. God, please help me. Okay? Your brother is sick in the hospital. You are scared the doctor will not do a good job. God, please heal him. God, please heal him. Okay? Even if you have you don't have the money, you pray, God, please give me the money to help my brother. You're traveling by road. God, please, kidnappers will not see me on the way. Your whole prayer point is hinged on God protecting you from the failures of your leaders, your political leaders. And so you have left Nigeria to go to a whole different nation, a different system, a system that works, and you realize, what prayer points do I have? And so from that perspective, because your relationship with God or your needs were hinged on what God could do for you, materially and all, you're now in a country that works, where all you have to do is work hard and you get your result. You also in a country where people are not going to dash you money anyhow. So you're not going to pray to God for somebody to dash you money in a system where people don't dash you money. You're also not going to pray to God to help you with certain things where all you have to do is just work to get them. The need for a thing, so the need for God now is no longer suffices. Why? Because you have all that you need that God will have naturally given you in Nigeria. So that's one reason. The another reason why people lose their favor is that the foreigners are not as spiritual as we are. And what I mean is this. What I mean is that the number of churches that you have, variety of churches, even lifestyle, okay? You realize that you're in a different environment where a lot of people really just want to be neutral, and a lot of people are more open towards, other worldviews like atheism, like agnosticism, and all of those things. And so people are generally liberal. People are like, do whatever you want. It's not, you don't wake up one morning and you're seeing somebody holding microphone. It's not like a frequent view. And so the culture is different. The lifestyle is different. It isn't one that promotes religion. And because your environment dictates a huge part of who you are, you realize that, slowly by slowly, you're losing your favor, okay? And then the kind of churches also that are also there are not like, their mode of worship isn't like what we have in Nigeria. So for instance, now the whole Pentecostal, movements in Nigeria, the way we pray, and all of those things, the way we relate with one another, their own system of operations will be completely different. And when you go there, it sometimes might make you actually feel like an outsider, and you not participating, not being accountable, and all of these things will just be a contributing factor. Another thing is you are busier. You're busier abroad. So when you go abroad and you see a couple of you have a couple of things, you have to do your 9 to 5. After that, you might need to take extra 1 or 2 side hustles just to make ends meet, make the bills meet, and all of those things. You might find yourself working on Sundays, and so you literally have no time because you have to pay the bills, especially if you're a family person. And so that change in schedule or increased demand in extra work, hours would affect your commitment to your faith. Another thing is the general culture over there. The fact that in most of these cultures, being a devout Christian is just seen generally as an uncool thing, right? Where you being more liberal, more unopinionated, and all of those things is just seems like the way to go. And so you will find that you need extra courage to be more expressive about your faith, to be more fervent, because the environment naturally doesn't support you being Christian. And so the question begs, how can you find your faith again as a Nigerian? Well, number one, you can find your faith by reconnecting to a local assembly. And I'm going to say this, a lot of Nigerians are not able to reconnect, say, when they go to a white church and all of those things, right? And so one thing that would help would actually be to go to a church, that is being run by your own, by maybe a Nigerian, right? But watch out for other things like, is the church a good church? Do they preach well and all of those things, right? But besides that, I guess my point is that there are other Nigerians that that have gone abroad in recent times and have gone to start up churches, right? Churches that you would find really beneficial to you, and are really good churches that's filled with Nigerians, and has the community of love and support that you are looking for, okay? And so in that you can find accountability, okay? You can find accountability, you can find structure for your spiritual growth and all of those things. You can find rejuvenation, all right? Number two, it's important to have godly friends. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I was having an argument with someone who said that, personally, he doesn't think that there's anything wrong with having close friends with an atheist, right? Because he has gone abroad, right? And he has seen that some of the best people that he knows, are even atheists and all of those things. And so he has no problem being very close friends with an atheist. And why I don't oppose you not being friends or being friends with an atheist, I'm going to say this. The main goal of friendship, is not just on the fact that the person is a nice person. People can be nice, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you guys are going to bond. And I'll explain it this way. The point of who you are as a believer, as a Christian, is the fact that, number one, your life is God's own. Number two, you live life for God because your life is God's own. And so part of the structure and the system that you put in place is one that propels you to continuously live for God. Okay? Now, values matter. People must be good. People must be kind for them to be around you. I mean, that's part of being godly, right? But the point I'm trying to make is that people must also be godly to be around you. Now, I'm not saying don't be friends with people who are not godly. I'm saying that you must fortify yourself, actively fortify yourself with godly friends in that mix. Okay? So, for example, now, you're friends with an atheist. You don't really have, people, who are believers like that, in the abroad. And after a while, you guys are always gisting, exchanging ideologies, right? And the thing about exchanging ideologies with somebody that you love is that your defenses are most times, open towards them. And so, even though it's not conscious, there are some suggestive things that they will say that will make you to contemplate about your faith. All right. So when those things happen, you realize that you're even falling off the wagon faster. And so you must realize that being friends with nice people is not good enough as a Christian. You must be friends with people who spoil you spiritually. Okay? So it's possible. It doesn't always have to be a bad Christian that is God, that is on fire for God, or a good atheist that hates God. You can actually find good Christians that love God. So let's find the balance to that. So find people like that would spur you to godly character, but yet are good, genuinely good people. Still the little moments. And this is very important for people who are extremely busy. Still the little moment just simply means that every single time that you have, dedicate it to God. So for instance, now you're working about 15 hours a day, but you notice that in that 15 hours you have pockets of time, like 10 minutes, like 15 minutes. You can just play one Yekan song or Nathaniel Bassey song, marinate your mind in it, just pray a little, speak in tongues, like a few minutes here and there, just steal pockets of time, listen to messages for like 10 minutes, then play it again after a couple of hours. What you're training your mind is that even though I am busy, I am not forgetting that these are the important things. These are the things that matter. I mean, think about it this way. When you have a woman, right, you have a wife, and even though you're busy, you find pockets of time to call her, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here. Baby, I'm so busy, but I just wanted to hear your voice. How you doing? You sound excited to hear from her. Even though you're not giving her the adequate amount of time that she wants or she needs, she's going to feel like, this guy actually loves me, for him to find this small pockets of time to spend time with me. So it's helping both of you. It's helping her realize that you love her. It's helping you realize that she is the priority. She's the main goal. So the same thing should be applied in your Christian walk. Another thing that helps is you prioritizing worship. So outside of this small pockets of time, you should also have a time where you say, okay, God, I'm going to dedicate this time to you. So time of worship, time of consecration, fasting, and all of those things, right? And again, you might just need accountability, from friends to enable you to begin this momentum, right, of prioritization of worship. Okay, so that means that you have a godly friend. You say, okay, I might need to spirit with me for the next 1 week, 2 weeks, so that I can get myself back and things like that. One very important thing is try and reconnect to your roots, right? Again, we're back to accountability. One thing that reconnecting to your roots does for you is that it enables you to stay accountable. So for instance, you used to be in a church, back in Nigeria, and maybe the pastor has been the one helping you through your spiritual journey, and just basically reconnect with him. Reconnect with your local assembly back home as they help you navigate the journey to you finding another local church. Okay? And the last point I'm going to give is rely on God's grace. So one thing that helps, your spiritual life thrive is when you realize that you are insufficient. Okay, so it's a case whereby you know that you're missing out, you're trying to get back with God, and it's just about self-will, self-effort, which is important. God appreciates the sincerity and the urgency, basically how much you desire to rekindle your relationship with Him. But you must also come to that place where you tell God, Omo, I can't do this, Father. This is really difficult. Talk to him. Be vulnerable about, be vulnerable about your situation to him. There is always strength at the end of every vulnerable moment that you have with God, where you're telling God that, Father, help me. My strength is small. And then the Lord comes to you and says, take strength. Think about it like in the case of Jesus Christ, where God had a will for him, told him that he had to die. And then Jesus Christ was like, okay, Father, I don't think I want to do this, but if it is your will, then so be it. And in that moment where there was that vulnerability, strength was bestowed upon him. So think about it like that at the end goal of every vulnerable moment you have with the Father is strength for the journey ahead. And so be vulnerable with God, genuinely vulnerable with God about your situation, and strength will come. Strength and wisdom will come. Okay? And I hope that with these tips, I've been able to help you to navigate, your faith in the Japa land. Now, if you found this content really helpful, please don't forget to subscribe. You're going to need more of my content. I am very sure, I can assure you. So just to ensure that YouTube keeps, recommending, me to you, just subscribe, drop a comment, and just show that you're really just interested in my content. See you next week. Bye.